More disturbing anti-Semitic flyers like those left in Miami Beach.
This is really the first time me voicing anything like this.
This time the message is a little different. Disturbing words from the Russian president.
Modern Ukraine from the beginning and in its totality has been created by Russia.
About the former Soviet republics. And despite his disability,
it's really a great community that's been behind me.
A high school wrestler is tackling a state championship. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Good morning, South Florida. I'm Julian Davis.
And I'm Zitlali Salache. Today's Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022.
From the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Hate spreading, the anti-Semitic flyers we first saw in Miami Beach, now with new cases in Colorado. The anti-Semitic flyers were left in front yards in Parker, Colorado, which is near Denver.
And residents there are upset and they want their voices to be heard as they consider this to be a hate crime. Even though the flyers were reported to police, officers told the neighbors that although this is hate language, this is not a hate crime because no offense is being committed. Although all agree, however, there is no question about the message.
When I went back and looked at my cameras, I was able to determine that it happened at 2:24 in the morning. It says every single aspect of the COVID agenda is Jewish. I don't see how they can even make that claim.
Similar flyers.
Over the weekend, these anti-Semitic flyers were also found in 2 North Texas towns and California. They are similar to the ones found in Miami Beach and Surfside last month.
Today, a fisherman is waking up in a Miami hospital after being bitten by a shark. The U.S. Coast Guard rescued 51-year-old fisherman yesterday after being bitten by a shark near Bimini, Bahamas. Unfortunately, passenger on the boat with him was able to bandage him up until help arrived. The fisherman was transported to Jackson Hospital by Coast Guard's helicopter to receive medical attention.
Russian President Vladimir Putin hinting that Ukraine may only be the beginning. As CNN's Isabel Rosales reports, he's been talking about all the nations that were once part of the Russian Empire.
U.S. intelligence and satellite images reveal Russia going full speed ahead with military preps.
Today might be that day, and we hope that's not the case, which is why we continue to exhaust every possible diplomatic option here going forward.
In a TV broadcast, Russian President Vladimir Putin accusing the West of threats. The Russian president says he is officially recognizing the separatist regions in Ukraine as independent states. Putin airing his grievances about the breakup of the former Soviet republics.
Modern Ukraine from the beginning and in its totality has been created by Russia.
The U.S. and allies warn every indication shows Russia is preparing to invade.
These are not the actions of a Russian government fulfilling its repeated declarations that it has no intention of invading Ukraine.
The U.S. also says it has credible information about a Russian kill list, writing in a letter to the United Nations that Russia is identifying Ukrainians to be killed or sent to camps. The Kremlin denying the claim, calling it absolute fiction.
We believe that any military operation of the size, scope, and magnitude of what we believe the Russians are planning will be extremely violent. It will cost the lives of Ukrainians and Russians, civilians and military personnel alike.
The Russian escalation at the front lines is at odds with what Putin has said publicly. Putin agreeing to a summit with President Joe Biden.
He can do the right thing by finding a diplomatic path forward.
Biden accepting on the condition Russia not invade Ukraine. In Washington, Isabel Rosales.
Commemorations for Black History Month continue in our nation's capital. Daniela Jaramillo from our D.C. Bureau is in Washington this morning.
We are at 3 Star Brewing Company in Washington, D.C. for a marketplace that they're hosting that celebrates and supports Black business owners in the community.
Everyone here today vending are people of consciousness and people of culture. These are people who, in their lives, they work to move this country forward. That can be a lonely thing at times. So I like to create spaces where we can all get together.
The entrepreneurs displayed a variety of items such as scented candles, books, earrings, and works of art.
You know, I've never done an event at a brewery before, especially inside, so it's a really nice treat. It's February, it's good food here, the vibe, the atmosphere, the vendors are wonderful. I'm happy.
I've been invited to paint live at this amazing African American event, which is really important because a lot of us, we fail to realize that a lot of African Americans before our time really worked hard just to pave this element for us to do things freely.
Customers enjoyed food and drinks, music, and participated in a Black History trivia game.
I wanted to support local Black artists and vendors in the neighborhood, and at the same time to be able to have some beer.
Black Rockstar Superhero plans to do more events like this one to bring the community together. For SFMN, this is Daniela Jaramillo.
The U.S. Soccer and U.S. Women National Team finally scored a goal with a new collective bargaining agreement on their long-standing dispute over equal pay. The deal requires U.S. Soccer to pay a total of $24 million to the players and to charity. Moving forward, the men's and women's national teams will receive an equal rate of pay for matches and tournaments.
If you sail out of Port Everglades and you're looking for something a little bigger, your ship may have just come in.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
It doesn't really matter who you are or how you're born, that you can really do anything you really put your mind to.
A high school wrestler overcoming his disabilities and his opponents and bringing home a state championship. Newsbreak will be back in just 2 minutes.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Is that his name?
Yes.
Okay.
Overcoming obstacles, a high school wrestler with an inspiring story of success. If you thought you needed all 4 limbs to pin someone to the ground, think again.
Virginia High School wrestler Adonis Lattimore won his state's Class 6 wrestling championship on Saturday, and he did it with a disability.
At one point I was on a losing streak for about a year, until about sometime in middle school I hit my stride and brung that into high school.
The senior, who has been wrestling since the 2nd grade, was born without his legs and only has 1 functioning arm. Yet he counters this with a strong work ethic. Adonis plans to continue his wrestling career well into college. But before that happens, his goal is to set himself as the best in the Commonwealth.
After 3 years since its building began, the world's largest cruise ship, the Wonder of the Seas, is now open for all passengers. The Royal Caribbean ship is capable of hosting 6,900 guests who can enjoy a 10-deck high zipline and the tallest slide at sea. The ship is expected to make its maiden voyage on March 4th, departing from Port Everglades and Fort Lauderdale.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Zitlali Solache.
And I'm Julian Davis. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.